Greetings, fellow citizens of Disneyland. Brickey here, kicking off a new video series where we're going to explore the outer perimeter that's available at Disney's California Adventure at least once a month, allowing us to track all the different changes that take place at the ever-evolving Disneyland Resort and force us to pay attention to all the little details like the Jurassic Park doors back there that we opened up with, or that this wall to our left, how much it resembles Mccarthy Circle. And instead of putting up a fence, they're able to mimic the design flow of Buena Vista Street. And mirroring Disneyland, the very first thing you see when you walk in to your right is ATM machines and restrooms below the Sepulveda building. And the idea of this video series is to constantly document the ever-changing landscape of Disney's California Adventure. So many things have already changed since this video footage was taken on December 1st. But there's also been so much breaking news since December 1st that this is the moment that I could get around to editing. So we've now worked our way up to the baby Hyperion Bridge, and if you look above Mortimer's Market, which is currently closed, you can see one of the first billboards placed in this area just to give it more depth. The Hyperion Bridge not only divides up Buena Vista Street, giving you this perfect keyhole to look through to see Mccarthy Circle, but it's the track that the monorail uses to whip around the outer edge of DCA. Another trick borrowed from Disneyland is that the candy shop you see over there, it's just a part of Trolley Treats. It's not really a standalone store, but it sure appears that way. And I don't know if you've ever looked at the concrete work, the facade work that's above the door there for Trolley Treats. It's got two bears sitting around, I believe it's like a honeycomb. It's a really interesting piece of art that's just kind of stuck away on the door. Also, when you look down at the Hyperion Bridge, you see that it acts as a berm, creating a visual barrier, not letting you see over to the other park. Now, during normal times, this little courtyard is full of cafe seats, and it gives you such a little city vibe sitting out here and enjoying a Starbucks or ice cream from Clarabelle's or a confection from Trolley Treats. This little pocket here, this is something that Disneyland doesn't have. Really appreciate these little urban plazas. Now, if you look at the Starbucks building, it has the same architecture that we saw on that first wall when we came in. This is a template of the Mccarthy Circle vibe that you'll find all around Buena Vista Street. It just kind of ties it all together and acts as a style guide for these outer barriers. And anytime you see this black edge around the image, that means we've gone to a different date or another location in the park. See, we're back to where we were at, no black bar, but you can see that corner there. This one right here, that is that Mccarthy Circle look that is found in several locations. So the black box means we are now looking ahead to footage shot on December 8th. 1 week later, this is now how far we can get into Grizzly Peak. But going back to December 1st, the original offering that was given to Disneyland before the new restrictions came in, this is the area that they were willing to give up to us. Now, I didn't go in that far back corner because I didn't want to expose myself to people that were eating that were maskless. When this was shot on December 1st, Smoke Jumpers was open, and I look forward to Smoke Jumpers Grill reopening because it gave us so much more DCA to discover and to walk about. And losing this arm really shortens the path that we have currently. If you listen to my podcast, Disneyland For Designers, you know I love quiet spots. Have you ever been back in this little nook? On a normal day, you could see the monorail going over by, you could see people excited to go do soaring, but also be very removed from the main path of the park. I hear a lot of people say that it's depressing being able to see the facades of an attraction like Soarin' and not be able to ride it. I just think it's nice to see an old friend and to kind of look around and be reminded of better days. You can see how Grizzly Peak gives so much more capacity to what they're allowed to put into DCA. Had to come over here, look over the concrete wall, and remember just coming up this ramp so hyped over taking a nice travel around California and ending up on Main Street Christmas at Disneyland. Once again, you can see all the different tables and chairs all put down here on Grizzly Peak. I believe this road is called Runway 30, and I look forward to running down it again. You can see here in this area, they do a good job of using the creek rock that's over at the Grand Californian. When this area got rescaped, it really added a lot of symmetry between this part of the park over on the other side of Grizzly Peak and really brought together with the Grand Californian. Removing Condor Flats and leaving that sort of deserty vibe just made all of this feel like a more conclusive land. Now, a couple of days after this footage was shot, this area here actually did open up, and we were anticipating that people would be flowing through here as the DCA members would be returning to the villas over in the Grand Californian. But as you can see, Black Box is back. We're on December 8th, where this is now as far as we can go. Now, going back to the original perimeter, you really do get a vibe of just how much more you could look into the park and kind of just imagine going around that bend and saying hi to the cats. Now, looking back up the runway, you can see the overall scope of how Grizzly Peak was becoming a very quiet, relaxing area to go, get a drink, get a snack, and just kind of hang out and just feel all the vibes. Pandemic Mark has a whole lot more respect for this land. There are a couple of cool little nooks on each side of the restroom. This one has the potty break for rescue dogs. And this one is just a bizarre area that I can't even believe they let us walk back in here. This retainer wall is pretty interesting, and it's kind of hard to see in this footage, but there's some really cool like rock work and a flat area above there. I mean, it's just funny that they don't just fence off the front edge of this little area, and that by keeping it open, it just makes it all feel more real. And speaking of making it feel real, Humphreys just has so much detail. Once again, one of those things that you knew was there, but you never really took the time to stop and smell the flowers until you're like, oh, feels so good to be back in this spot that I always walked past. Look at the detailing in the lanterns on each side of the windows. Just something about this building feels so classic America National Park. Here's another famous billboard, a Coca-Cola one, to add more vertical sight lines to everything that we're seeing here, making it feel more infinite, like it goes on in greater detail. Lanterns being used as lights that hang outside of the canopy, and then this texture, that's painted. It's not worn down that way naturally. That's painted to give that patina to make it feel old and original. Many details exist inside that automobile. I would highly recommend peering through its windows. When you step back and look at all of the rock work that you're normally either standing right next to because you're waiting in line so you don't really get to observe it, or you're walking fast on the opposite side, like this rock work, which is really just a very elaborate wall, does such great Disneyland storytelling. In this shot alone, you can see 1, 2, 3 different ridges, along with the trees creating visual and sound barriers, keeping all of the different lands that are actually very close together feel emotionally far apart. The thing that I love about doing the Perimeter series is it forces you to really just kind of look at every edge and appreciate it for what it is and the value that it adds to the overall theming. Sure, you're familiar with the peak or the waterfall, but have you ever looked at this cluster of rocks that's outside the information kiosk? The way that it stair steps creates such a nice visual vertical barrier and creates that storytelling of we're not in Anaheim any longer. Out front of the information booth, because nobody needs to see ride times, there is now a little pop-up holiday shop. You can see a week later it expanded out even more, as Disney's probably sitting on a ton of 2020 holiday merchandise. But going back to December 1st, for the beginning of our Perimeter series, you can see that they're experimenting with, does this work? And obviously the answer was yes, because they added on more carts and more merch. And if you think about how much merchandise they probably sold each and every day in 2019 and what their 2020 pre-order must have been, they are sitting on top of a lot. So much that I heard that they are having a sale. Imagine Disneyland having a sale, end of days. Love these Spanish Revival cutouts. And those grates up there, speakers, I guarantee it. Just the detailing in this little information kiosk, fantastic. Go Steelers. Then you have this little patch of land here, just a little transformative piece that gets you over to the next part of the story. I love the seams of Disney Imagineering. I love how they seam everything together, the little transformative plots that just keep moving the story along and along. About 8 different stair steps of levels there, making this seem so much taller and grandiose than what it really is. Forced perspective, making a big wall so that we can't see the resort, can't peer over to the Pacific Wharf, or see Pixar Pier. Instead of a wall, Disney gives you a big mountain that, oh, by the way, has a bear chiseled into it. The walkway here swells up to be so wide, allowing room for the different food festivals. It's named Performance Corridor because it's literally designed to be a performance part of the park, used for parades, food festivals, or as of right now, dining. The thing that always made me love Disney parks is the space in between the attractions and all of the heavy lifting it does for story. So it's not like this area through here would ever be your favorite part of the resort or where you have all of your best memories. It's designed as a mental gear shift from one land to the next. And on December 1st, this is how far into DCA you could see the edge of Cars Land, out into the pier. Just imagine if everything we just looked at wasn't there, that would all just be exposed. December 8th, we lost that footing because of the food restrictions. So currently, as of the last time I was in the park, this is how far you can go. An area that you used to walk through quickly to get to your next destination that last week felt like the biggest part of DCA that you ever got to explore. Here it is from the other side, getting to see the edge of Mater's. Remember how this used to congest when people were coming from Cars Land and Pixar Pier? And not only did we lose extra dining area, but we lost our one big sneak peek into looking into Marvel's Avengers Campus, which in an alternative timeline would be open right now. I love the light fixtures unique to this land that you can see in the center of your screen. It looks great at night with its show lighting on, but these buildings really do catch the sun great during the daytime. Once again, this gate was open a few days after this footage, and it's closed again because they're using it for extra food cart space, but I have to think that it's the overflow for web slingers. Avengers Campus already fits in a small pocket of land. Why would they use it for anything else? Do love that little hill blocking out the part of Avengers Campus. And these are the food carts that got moved over into that cul-de-sac. So just taking this area, moving it over, and replacing this with merchandise was the game plan, but this year, all game plans change. Mccarthy Circle was open for dining at the beginning of the month. We all know that that's gone away temporarily. But you can see the flow on Performance Corridor, and that really did give a lot of extra space and exploration to this smaller footprint of DCA. It was so fun to walk by and just see the lucky folks that got dining reservations out on the sidewalk patio. It really did make Hollywoodland come to life. And this little food court, I don't know that I ever really paid attention to this back in the old world of 2019. But it was fun to see this courtyard full of life, people dining, having a good time. So much different a week later. This building is designed after the old ABC building, so don't have kids in the Disney Junior Dance Party. It's just kind of off limits for me, but it will be interesting to look back in time, see this moment when the front of the theater was simply being used for sidewalk dining and eating. A lot of this footage I'm so happy to have because it's going to tell a very interesting story in the history of DCA and the bizarre year of 2020. I mean, this is already vintage footage and it's only like a week and a half old. And same for what I refer to as the best designed bathroom facade in all of DCA, the Chinese restaurant I always joke about. And that it looks like a Chinese restaurant, but it's just a restroom. When we all got into DCA for the first time, we saw that Off the Page was full of merchandise. Then 2 weeks later, once they closed out the windows with these curtains, you knew the cast members were working on something in there. A week later, we'd see Off the Page open up, and anything that opens brand new becomes where all of the DCA citizens love to go right away. I've heard now that Off the Page's lines have sort of calmed down as the resort's settling in to this weird spot. It's pretty much just a walk-in, but so excited to see Off the Page back, because when it looked like this, well, it was just a little bit sad. Originally, I thought maybe they were going to take the guests in this direction, but they ended up using the longer side of Off the Page as they gave us more Hollywoodland to discover. Always love the Dumbo out front. This little ATM machine tucked back in the corner where the bathroom begins, it's such a cute little ATM machine. At the current time, this was the original end of Hollywoodland that we were able to go to, but 1 week later, with the opening of Off the Page, they would give us more of Hollywoodland, making right here at Fairfax Market sort of the end of the line, if you will, and literally because there's a line there. But at current time, at the beginning of this month, this was as far as we were allowed to go. But just standing here and looking down at the Hollywoodland, really a part of DCA that I always kind of took for granted that I have a whole new appreciation for. As of December 1st, this was the furthest you could go on this corner. But as of today, you can now go over into the Hollywood Studios area. You can go just as far as almost to the front facade of the Monsters attraction. This sign recently just had its 1-year anniversary, and what an addition it was. Inside of here, when it gets crowded during the times when you could eat, they would actually open up this area. A couple evenings I saw folks eating back in this corridor, but it's a fun one to walk back into because they've adorned it with so many fun posters, movie style posters of different animated shorts to not only sell Mickey's PhilharMagic, but also to cover up everything that was Muppets. As much as I do miss the Muppets, I like that old school subway style billboard of Mickey's PhilharMagic. Such a beautiful street, but so hard to capture in perfect sunlight as it spends most of the afternoon covered in shade, which is ironic for an area of the park that's supposed to be Hollywood. And as of right now, Disneyland Resort has holiday merchandise on sale, so I'm so surprised that Gone Hollywood isn't open to help them liquidate this merchandise. It's 30% off, and that's not including your AP discount. So yes, Disneyland has fully gone into the upside down. Enjoy these benches inside of the old elephant pedestals, and let's spin around and take one last look at Hollywood Boulevard and all that we were given at the beginning of December. Can't wait to see how this changes over time as we keep doing the perimeter series and judging how it's expanding and contracting, hopefully more expanding than contracting, but it is so bizarre to see nothing there in the heart of Buena Vista Street. But now as we look over these stores and their beautiful gold accents on the faded slate blue of the Art Deco canvas which creates them, I have not given these buildings their props over the years, and honestly didn't notice that that's where the Bugle was located. So as we do the perimeter series, it'll be interesting to see that central hub of Buena Vista Street get its adorning Christmas tree, and before that a headless horseman and all the great things that come with normalcy, which I believe we'll be getting back to this spring. But just one last shot down here in the little courtyard. Such a cute area of DCA, and unlike anything that we have in Disneyland, creating these nice urban plazas that flank the ends of the street. All right, it's our turn to start working our way back towards the gate. The saddest thing you have to do is leave, but let's look back real quick at Eli and Company and just how this one big mega structure just looks like old school LA department stores. We're now on the backside of the Hyperion mini bridge, and this porch has been one of my new favorite places to hang out in DCA when it's not packed with a line in front of it. And there it is. We've worked our way down Buena Vista and now over into this little courtyard that is very parallel to what we have over in Disneyland. Over in Disneyland, when you first go into the park, if you were to go to the left, that's where we have Town Hall. Here we have the Chamber of Commerce, but it's an interesting little quiet zone of utility. And Disneyland mirrors this exact same concept because when they fixed DCA, they tried to make it more like Disneyland. And hey, why wouldn't you? Love this sign on the door. Whereas City Hall over in Disneyland has nice stairs and a porch, over here Chamber of Commerce is stretched back, allowing flow of people. And I just love that Eli & Co. mural up on the top of that brick wall. A lot of really good details in this little corner that I think most people breeze right past. Love all these little mosaics that are just a treat to discover all around Buena Vista Street. And Oswald's, just what an overlooked gem, because it's right when you walk into the park, which I believe is why it's closed right now, but so many great design lines in this old school service station. Too bad it's in the crossfire of people traffic right by the gate. All right, friends, it is the sad time to work our way back to what was the exit, no longer exiting here as of today. They've spread this over to the other side. But thank you so much for taking this perimeter tour with me. I hope you saw a little bit of DCA that you never discovered before, and I hope you'll join me next month when we do this all over again to see the ever-evolving footprint that is Disney's California Adventure And then as the park's fully open, we'll just do them periodically, land by land, but I want to keep documenting it and make sure that I have all the pieces I need to tell the Disneyland story in the future to come, and for you to see every little bit of how the park is changing. Friend, this month I'm giving away a spider bot to one lucky commenter on any video that I put up this month in December. You just have to comment about the video and be subscribed to the channel with notifications on, and let me know, did you see anything in here that you'd never noticed before? I would love to know that. And what are your predictions for where all of this grows? Please give this video a thumbs up, follow along with the channel, and follow along with all of my adventures as I bring you daily news all about the Disneyland Resort. Friends, until the next time I see you inside of Disney's California Adventure, I'll see you back here on the channel with more Disneyland news. And as always, with the Perimeter series, we end right where we begin. And if you think I'm leaving, no way. I'm going back inside the park.